Okay, we're going. So part 2 of a series. This is JR. And, hey, can we tell them your real name?
I mean, if you really want to.
Gary. JR Bareis.
Oh, man.
You can tell that story. And this is Mothership with Backstage with Mothership on Solid Rock Radio. So, JR, tell us, let's go back. The first set of questions dealt with spoken. Mm-hmm. And that's what you're doing now, and that's the current music that people can listen to. But tell me, how in the world did a 15-year-old kid who got a guitar for Christmas just a few years earlier end up with being in a band with Brian Head Welch? Go.
Yeah, that's a loaded question.
I know.
So, yeah, I mean, I started playing guitar when I was 11 years old. I had an ultimatum. It was my birthday. They were like, hey, do you either want Guitar Hero, which was coming out at the time, that was like a new thing, or do you want a real guitar? And I was like, of course I want Guitar Hero, you know. And I still ended up getting a guitar though. So, but we got Guitar Hero later on down the road. But yeah, I got my first guitar, and I would literally just, man, like at first I wasn't really into it, but then at some point something clicked, you know, and I just figured it out. I don't know. I just started learning things by ear, and just like, man, I would just lock myself in my room like every day. I wouldn't do my homework, and I would just play music all the time, you know, and just keep learning and stuff. But then fast forward to 2011. At that point, I had been playing for about 4 years, and I started doing online school just from home. And about a month after I started doing that, 1,000 Foot Crutch, they posted something on their YouTube about trying people out, you know, to be their next guitar player, you know. And at the time I had a YouTube channel that I just did guitar covers and stuff. And, you know, I was like, well, I mean, I didn't really expect to win the thing, you know, but I was like, if anything, you know, I could do it and maybe get some people to follow my channel and subscribe. So I did it, you know, I posted it, and it was cool. It was one of the top viewed ones, which is pretty cool, out of everyone that submitted stuff. And then someone that I was friends with Facebook on had shared it on their page, and they were mutual friends with Brian's tour manager at the time. And I guess at the same time as all that was happening, Brian had a tour coming up at that point. It was like a week and a half before his tour, and his guitar player had left the band, and they were looking for a guitar player. And so his tour manager, Justin, had contacted the lady that had posted it on Facebook and was like, hey, do you have any way to get in contact with this guy or something? And she didn't really know. Like, she gave him my Facebook and stuff. And then I guess he had contacted someone that I had done some music stuff with here at home. And I remember one morning, it was like 6:30 in the morning, and my friend Jeremiah, he had texted me and said, hey, this guy messaged me on Facebook. He said he is like the tour manager from Head that used to be in Korn, and they want to talk to you. And I thought he was just joking.
Wow.
You know? So I like went back to bed. I was like, whatever, dude. And I didn't really know a whole lot about Brian at that point. Like, I had heard of him, but I didn't really know a whole lot. I was never into like Korn or any of that stuff growing up. But later on in that day, you know, I got a message from Justin, and he is like, hey, you know, I tried hitting up your friend, and I know it might be a little weird, but just wanted to see if you're able to chat and call me, you know, just kind of left it at that. And I told my parents, I was like, should I talk to this guy? And I was like, I don't know. But I ended up calling him. And
were you already 15 or were you 14?
I was 15.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I called him, and he was like, hey, so I know this might be crazy, but I saw your video, and we're looking for someone to fill in for this tour coming up in like a week and a half, and we didn't know if you'd be willing to maybe make a couple videos of you playing some of Brian's songs. And I was like, Well, I'd have to ask my parents. And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm like 15. And they're like, he was like, oh, we thought you were like 20 or something. Just I guess the way I looked in the video or something. But, so I guess they went to the management, and management wasn't real hip on like having an underage kid out on tour. There's just a lot of like, legal stuff, and if something happened to me or whatever. And, but I did the videos anyway, just to do them, and I sent them over, and I guess Brian loved it, and he like fought for me to be on it. He was like, I want this kid, and, do whatever it takes to do it, and, so, he ended up signing legal guardianship over me. So the whole time I toured with him until I was 18, he was technically my dad, legally when we were on tour together. But yeah, and I remember him calling me. It was maybe like a couple days before I flew out there and met him and practiced with everyone. But, I remember he called me and just was like, hey man, I just wanted to talk to you, and, just want to say thank you for you doing this, and just wanted to pray, over the whole situation, which was really cool. And, so yeah, it was crazy, and then I flew out to Nashville. It was my first time ever flying in my life. I almost missed my layover because I didn't know how planes worked. And I was just like, so just running around with my head cut off, and I was like, this is insane that this is happening. And then I just remember landing, and I was walking to go get my bags, and I just heard this loud noise, just like banging on a window. And I was like, what in the world? And I look over, and where all the people wait for like people to show up, at the airport, it is him and Janaea, and he's just like banging on the window because I didn't see him. He's like, hey, and
That's so Brian.
hello. Yeah. And I mean, I think from day one, we were just like goofing off together, being idiots, and we clicked, and yeah. And then like 3 days later, after, I'd met him, I was on a bus heading to our first show, and like a week or two later on that tour, I turned 16, and, from there, I've been doing it since. It's been like 9.5 years now.
Wow. Now, when I met you in Atlanta on that tour that had Letter Black and Decipher Down, is that the same tour that you're talking about?
Yep. That was my first tour.
That was your first tour? That's when I met you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
I know. I had not, like, it was weird because I had done like worship stuff at my church and everything, and I never, like, I liked some rock stuff, but Brian's stuff was pretty heavy, I'd never gotten that heavy before, and so I just remember like feeling like I totally didn't fit at all. Like, I remember, Val had like contacts in and like crazy makeup on his face.
Yeah,
and,
the white contacts.
Yeah, and I just had my Justin Bieber haircut up there with this like striped shirt, and I'm just like,
don't forget the deep V.
Oh man, what a terrible mistake.
We tried to tell you that. No, no.
But yeah, so it was a learning process, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that's how we met, was that tour. That was, and that's all she wrote. From then on out, I was your Atlanta mom, right?
Yeah. Yep. Mothership.
Yep. Oh, me. Go back. I remember you telling me a story about you had not heard of Korn, and then you had like a teacher. What was that story?
Oh, so it was just like a couple weird things in my life that it felt like it was almost like signs, that like I would meet Brian or something. It was weird. Like, I remember, so my mom, she's had, some issues. She's been sick for a while, and she had a doctor, and his last name was Korn. It was literally Korn. We call him Dr. Korn. Yeah, it was so weird. And, again, I had never grew up listening to Korn or any of that stuff. I grew up in a Christian home, and just never really got into a lot of that stuff. But I had heard of him, and so that was crazy. And then I remember too, like, I was maybe 13, I think, in youth group, and I remember we went to a Hillsong concert out where I live, and it was at a church, and we were outside waiting, and they were passing out little like flyer things, and it had Head's picture on it. It said Head, first concert ever, as like him himself, like when his first record came out and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I still maybe have it somewhere. I think I kept it.
That would be cool.
Yeah, but just crazy little things like that, and then I remember too, my youth pastor, he had showed me, he's like, hey, Brian Head Welch? I was like, no. He's like, he's this guy that used to be in Korn, and he got saved, and he put out a record, and he had the record. He's like, dude, check out this song and stuff. And I remember listening to it. I think it was Rebel, and it has all those little kids like, and it was like super creepy, and I was like, this is kind of weird. I didn't know how I felt.
Fast forward.
Yeah. So just little weird things like that, and I just thought it was pretty crazy, because then, ended up meeting him, and we're like best friends, he's like,
I'm not sure who is, who influenced who, but you guys are like two peas in a pod.
I mean, again, he has been such a great dude, just learning so much from him, like writing and even performance, and just being on tour, just being around people, just the person he is, he's just great, and hopefully I can be half as good of a dude as he is, and
well, you're as good of a dude as he is right now. So, we've not got but a few more minutes. Tell me about the, Love and Death. I know, when you were starting on a new album, when, Brian went back to Korn, and then everybody joined other bands, and it became impossible. But tell me what's happened and, what we can expect.
Yeah, it's been, has it been about a little over 7 years since the first record came out? But yeah, we had started working on stuff, pretty much right after that record came out. And then, Brian had gone back to Korn, and, I ended up joining Islander like a year after, and, Dan's with Bread, and Jason, our producer, he ended up joining Breaking Benjamin. So everyone just kind of got spread out, in this season of life where everyone just was doing their own thing, and that was like their main thing. And we would find time, to write songs and do stuff, but we never got to the point where we had enough to finish things, So, finally though, as we speak, in a couple days, I'm flying out to LA, and I'm finishing doing all the guitars and all my vocals, because we wrote a couple more songs and we reworked some stuff. So going out there and doing that, getting all that done completely. As we speak, Brian's doing his vocals right now. He's gotten a couple songs done. He's finishing that up this week. And Jason's going to be, editing, mixing, everything. We're literally going to be recording stuff, sending him stuff as we're doing it, and he's at home doing all that. So it's actually happening. I know we've been saying that for 7 years, but it's actually.
It really is. Well, you keep adding songs. Now, let's see. The time I listened on your phone to some of the songs, that was 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And you thought you were done then, but you've added, there was some guest vocals that came in after that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you wanted to clean up some of the other vocals and things. So you've not gone and added more songs. So how many songs are we looking at right here?
Well, we had about 9 or 10 songs at the time, and I think we felt like we could write some stronger songs, when we all came back this last couple months to listen to everything we had and stuff. We were like, we think we could beat this, we could make it better. So our goal was to write a couple more songs, and we did, and I think they're awesome. So I think we have a couple extra songs to play around with, but I think we finally got the songs we need and we think are great. So that's pretty much what we did. We did that, and then we, reworking some parts that we felt maybe needed some work. So I think we're in a good place now. Everything's kind of set, and we're ready to just knock it out now. So, we're shooting for October or November, to have it out. That's the plan. So.
Okay. Are we still going with the same artwork I saw?
As far as I know, we haven't really touched on that yet. I think we were more just like, let's at least get the music done so we can throw it to whoever's mixing, mastering, and we'll work on that, as that's happening. So.
Yeah. Well, last time I talked with Brian, I know he was like juggling the idea of maybe releasing a single or something. Is there anything possibly that might happen before the release?
Yeah. I know we will be releasing at least a single or two, before the record would come out. I know the thought was to shoot for like sometime in August to send a single to radio. So that's the plan. So maybe like September-ish, Okay. So yeah, but I really believe it's actually happening now. So it's awesome.
Okay. And
like Brian, he's actually sending me pictures of him recording vocals. So I'm like, okay, this is actually happening.
Are you sure it's not Photoshop?
I swear it's not. I swear.
Okay, I believe you. For those people are always asking me about Val. I know Val retired from music. Have you spoken to him anytime in the last year or so, or?
It's been a little while since I've talked to him. But yeah, last I talked to him, he got married. He's got 2 kids, and he's just living the family life. Which is really cool. He's a great dude, and but I think Brian's talked to him recently as well. I think he went out to one of the Korn shows last year and got to see him and stuff. So, but yeah, he's been doing great.
So at the big album release premiere, is he going to show up and let me see him?
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. I'm fishing. Okay. I miss Val too. Okay. Well, I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. I'm so excited to know this Love and Death is definitely coming out. Yeah. Oh, I also didn't you say that you did get Dan Johnson to work on the drums on this as well?
Yeah.
So yeah. I know he was real anxious and wanting to be a part of it. And so I want to make sure people know he's actually playing too.
Yeah. He knocked out drums and everything. So we should be good.
And you and Brian are, sharing the vocals.
Yeah. Yep. So that's the thing. Like, he was trying to get out of doing vocals altogether. I was like, listen, you got to be a part of this, bro.
Good for you, JR.
I'm cool with it, but I know at the same time, this started as his project and, the draw is him, for the most part. And he's got a really good voice too, I think. He
really does. Every time I've told him he has a good voice, he's like, looks at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, you really do. And the two of you just work really well together vocally, just like you do with Matt. So.
Yeah. So I think it'll be really cool dynamic having, him and I go back and forth kind of thing. And,
you doing mostly the clean and him doing the screaming and kind of thing.
Yeah, he's doing some clean stuff too, though.
Oh, is he? Oh, good.
I was like, you can't just abandon singing together. I was like, you gotta take up your cross, bro. Come on.
Hey, what will we do without you, JR? You've been driving this thing and making sure it's going to happen for us, and we appreciate it.
Yeah.
All of us on the Love and Death fan page appreciate you.
I'm doing my best, so it's happening now, finally.
It's happening. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go. I've kept you way too long, but I appreciate you being my first guest on Backstage with Mothership, and I hope to see you out on the road, man.
Yeah, I'm honored. Thanks for having me, and yeah, I can't wait to get back out and to see you have some good cooking too.
Banana pudding.
I need some.
All right. Thank you, JR.
Yeah.